I told you if the Chiefs lose, I was going to need your support, not only as a colleague, but as a friend. And you know when I knew, Joy, I might not be able to lean on you for that? I'm going to tell you the exact moment when, because you were on speakerphone, and I said, all right, Joy, I'll talk to you later. And you said, bye, Nick. And then you shouted, love you, Danielle, bye. I'm like, what the hell? She's saying love you to my wife. I just said goodbye. I got a very cursory bye, Nick, and then a shout to my wife. And I was like, I can't lean on Joy. I can't.
Listen, at this point, if you're not firmly in the know that I love Danielle more than you, I'm sorry. I don't know what else I have to do.
Okay.
You shouldn't take that as a knock. Danielle, your wife, is a spectacular human being who I adore. You are friends, but you also dug yourself very firmly in this hole. And I will say, I have suffered at the hands of Tom Brady probably more than you over the past 20 years, being a Dolphins fan and having grown up in Pittsburgh. So I've suffered a lot, and I chose to make a good life decision after he won against the Atlanta Falcons in the most spectacular fashion we've ever seen in a Super Bowl. I decided I was no longer going to live a life of saying that Tom Brady wasn't the greatest to ever play that position, because he clearly is. And even though I picked the Chiefs to win yesterday, I made that pick with no conviction. So I'm not suffering the way that you are. Well, I can relate to it, obviously, because I've been through it, but I'm not suffering the way that you are, because I make better choices.
Well, I am going to... okay, yeah, sure, you make better... You know what I did after the Falcons Super Bowl? I also called him the greatest ever, and I said it ends here. And how much better would all our lives be if he had just rode off into the sunset and retired right then and there? It would have been great. He'd had the 5 rings. It would have been fine. It had been over. But I will pay tribute to Tom Brady 2 minutes from now in a way that I don't think anyone quite has yet. But first, you mentioned, you know, I dug myself deep. Let's just show the audience how deeply I dug myself. I posted yesterday my Super Bowl bets. Now, you can go through all these if you'd like. The moral of the story is this. There's 11 of them on there. That's 0 for 11, Joy. Do you know how hard it is to go 0 for 11? When you're budgeting out your gambling, you're like, all right, what's the worst case? 3 for 8, so that's like -5. 0 for 11 really puts you in a tough spot, including what I thought was the sharpest bet of the day. Look at that second to last one. Tommy Townsend over 38.5 yards for his shortest punt. The logic was the Chiefs aren't going to be punting inside the 40. They're going to be going for it or kicking field goals. So no problem. He's not going to have to do one of those corner kicks. No, he didn't have to do one of those. You know what he did do? Shank it right off his foot. Just dead shank right, then dead shank left. 2 of his first 3 punts went under 30. Forget under 38.5. They went under 30. It was maybe the worst bet ever made. Sammy Watkins, first touchdown. Sammy Watkins, I bet it later, over 38.5 yards. It's not on the screen. He had 1 catch for 13 yards. But somehow, Joy, that wasn't my worst tweet. You want to see my worst tweet?
The worst?
I'm going to show you the worst tweet. No,
oh, yes, I did
this
see
is the worst tweet.
Yeah.
Tweet. What it says at the bottom is, out in a blizzard in New York City, shopping for a Chiefs red blazer. Do you know how many places I had to go to find a perfectly colored velvet Chiefs blazer in New York City?
I'm sure many, because that's a very
I had to pay for that?
Color, too. Like, Chiefs red is a very specific red.
It's a very specific red, and I needed it to be velvet, and because I do everything last minute, I was shopping for it on a Sunday in a blizzard. I found it. I had it tailored in store, ready to wear. That'll never be worn. I need to burn it. So that's where Nick was wrong. That plus all my Tom Brady takes. That's where Nick was wrong. So now, in order to, you're really enjoying this. This is not emotional support.
I'm trying.
This is nonverbal taunting.
Here's what it is.
You know what? I say this. Yeah.
I know that America wants you to take your medicine, but I also understand that no one, no matter what they say, predicted that they were going to lose in the fashion in which they lost. So to that level, I dismiss any take that anyone has. You can say that you picked the Bucs, and that's great. Good for you. But you did not predict that Patrick Mahomes was not going to score a touchdown, that it was going to go down the way that it did. So that I don't want to hear. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think that you should hang your head so low. Your Tom Brady takes I never agreed with, and you have to take your medicine for that. But the Chiefs' loss was so dramatic in fashion that I don't think you should actually feel that bad about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. The problem is, while no one predicted the Chiefs to lose that way, the way that game went is exactly how I predicted, just 100% wrong. I did predict a blowout. I did predict one team to look awesome. I did predict one quarterback not to have any touchdowns, and I just had it all wrong, which is why I now pay my penance, do my rosary beads, by giving Tom Brady fans this, okay? I said a couple years ago that Tom Brady and Jerry Rice were the only two NFL players ever that if you bisected their career, if you cut it dead in the middle, they were a first ballot Hall of Famer on either career. That they had two separate Hall of Fame careers, the first half and the second half. After last night, I have to amend that take. Tom Brady becomes the first football player ever, and this one I'm confident he will be the only football player ever. He has had 3 distinct Hall of Fame careers, and I can prove it to you. He's played 21 years, cut his career into 7-year bites. First 7, middle 7, next 7. No funny math, don't have to do any twists and turns. Let's just look at it. So that first 7, let's call that the Aikman phase, where the numbers aren't overwhelming, but is the best clutch quarterback in the league, is not a game manager in a negative way, but the best version of a game manager. Tom Brady's for 7 years, almost the same amount of division titles, same number of Super Bowls, one more Super Bowl MVP, neither won a regular season MVP. So Tom Brady's first 7 years, first third of his career, that's the Troy Aikman phase. That, in and of itself, by itself, gets you into the Hall of Fame. Now give me the next 7 years. This is the Dan Marino phase. Division titles about the same. Super Bowl appearances, Brady has more. Regular season MVPs, Brady has more. Passing touchdown leader, Marino by 1. Also, in this 7-year stretch, Brady had the 07 season, where not only are you undefeated and go 6-0 in the regular season, quarterback, statistically speaking, it was up to that point in time the single greatest quarterbacking season ever. Whose record did he break? Marino's. The touchdown record, all the records he broke that year was Marino's. So those middle 7 years, where he went to 2 Super Bowls but didn't win any, he accomplished in those 7 years, as far as the big shiny object accomplishments, what Marino did in his entire career. And now the truly unfathomable part, the final third of his career, the Joe Montana phase. From 2014 to now, 4 rings to 4 rings, 3 Super Bowl MVPs to 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Brady has 1 regular season MVP in the stretch. Montana had 2. Montana also went to another team, just like Brady did. Montana took that team, the Chiefs, to the AFC title game. Brady took his team to the damn Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. Brady also, if we were to add another line, Super Bowl titles is 4 apiece to 4 apiece, but Super Bowl appearances would be 5 to 4, because in these 7 years, Brady went to another Super Bowl, the one against the Eagles, where he threw 505 yards and lost the game. So think about that for a moment. Tom Brady, first 7, middle 7, next 7. And if you saw me swallow hard, it's because I'm choking down the bile that I'm feeling just by having to say this. First 7, middle 7, next 7. Hall of Fame first ballot, Hall of Fame first ballot, Hall of Fame first ballot. The first 7 years, the Aikman phase. The middle 7 years, the Marino phase. The next 7 years, the Montana phase. That, my friends, we will never see again. It is not realistic, no matter how long the time horizon goes, that we will see another player in the first 7 years of his career win at the level Brady did. Now, Mahomes might, but it's it's all of that follows. Win at the level Brady did in the first 7. In the next 7, continue statistical and team excellence. Got to a couple Super Bowls, won a couple MVPs. They had a bye almost every single year. They were in the conference championship game 2 out of every 3 years. And then in the next 7, which means you got to play 21 years to even be in this conversation, you somehow do more winning in the final 7 than you did in your first 14 combined. And your first 14 combined, already we were talking about you as one of the 3 greatest quarterbacks ever. And you do it in a new system with a new team. That will never be done again. What Jerry Rice did, being able to have 20 years of sustained excellence where you could say he had 2 separate Hall of Fame careers, was unprecedented. Brady